The NFL season is getting ready to kick off this week. So, with that, we got Mike White here. We are going to be talking some quarterbacks. As I mentioned, we got the Hall of Fame game kicking off this Thursday night. So, we have football back in the air. Thank you, Lord. So, Mike, what's going on, man? How you been?
Man, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Doing very well. For those who don't
Excited.
know, Mike's got his own show on YouTube. It's called Here's the Deal. So definitely glad for you to come back and let's talk some quarterback, shall we?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right, for sure. So what we're doing here, we're doing top 5 quarterbacks with the most approved going into the 2017 NFL season. Definitely be sure to like, comment, let us know what your 5 is. Let us know if you agree, disagree, and yeah, let's get after it. So if you want to start, you can just let me know who you got at 5.
Okay, so coming in at number 5, I have Blake Bortles, Jacksonville Jaguars. His defense last year definitely picked it up. They were the fifth ranked in total defense last year. He's got weapons everywhere. They just drafted um, Leonard Fournette. Excuse me if I say his name wrong. They just drafted him. He's going into his 4th season. He really hasn't progressed as far as we had hoped. So I think going into training camp, this is a big year for him. I think he really needs to show that he can make that next step in order to be, a perennial all-star quarterback.
I agree 100%. That's really good one. He's one of those guys that you think he's got the tools. He had a couple good years, and then he kind of fell off. So that's
Just fell off, man. I don't know.
Yep. Who you got it for?
So number 4, I have Tyrod Taylor, Buffalo
Ooh.
Bills. Now, I got him because 2 years ago, he had a great year. He made the Pro Bowl. Everything was looking up for him. Then last year, it was just a straight decline. The whole Buffalo Bills organization was all out of wax. They finally got Rex Ryan out of there. But I think this is a big year for him because he had EJ Manuel breathing down his neck. I think he really needs to perform this year. And especially since they already paid him, it's time for him to show that he can be a starter in this league and lead that team to the playoffs. You got Shady McCoy back there in the backfield. You got Sammy Watkins. He's got options around him. So I think this is a big year for him. He really needs to step it up, especially since he got paid.
Yep. I think that's another really good one because you mentioned EJ Manuel breathing down his neck. I mean, they're similar players. They can both move around a little bit, but they both have a strong arm. So I like that one. What do you got for 3?
Yeah. Number 3, now normally I wouldn't say anyone going into their sophomore year should have something to prove, but I have Carson Wentz coming in at number 3. Eagles had a good defense last year. They started out 3-0. Now they went out. They got him some options. So I think he needs to perform. And partially, I think he needs to perform because just how well Dak Prescott played. People are going to be looking at that. Carson Wentz was the 1st-round pick. Dak Prescott, 5th round. So, I think he needs to actually step up. It's tough going into your sophomore season. But with the way Dak played last year, I think a lot is going to be put on Carson Wentz's shoulders.
That's another good one. And like you said, he went out and got some help. So, he got a lot of praise for the success they had last year, but that's another good one because it's going to be on a lot on his shoulders since he has the help. So,
exactly. Jeffrey, LeGarrette Blount.
Yep. What about number 2?
Number 2, Cam Newton, Carolina.
Damn.
2 years ago, you're in the Super Bowl. You win the MVP. Everybody thought he had finally made that big step. Last year, they lose Josh Norman, and then I don't know what happened. Just everything about that team just broke down. So I think this is going to be a huge year for him to show that he can get the Panthers back to where they were because, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. I just figured they'd be a lot better than last year. So Cam Newton is definitely number 2 for me.
Love that pick. He's not my top 5, but that's I have no problem with him being at number 2. And the crazy part is when I went to the Super Bowl, he didn't really have any receivers. I mean, he had Ted Ginn, but I think Kelvin Benjamin was hurt. He had Greg Olsen, obviously, but here Benjamin comes back and he struggles. So that's solid number 2. All right, who you got? Number 1, most to prove going into 2017.
Number one QB with the most to prove this year. I've got your man Dak Prescott.
Woo!
Now, it's a little weird having him at number 1 coming off a great season, but that's the thing. when you start hot, they expect you to stay hot. With all that talent, offensive line, wide receivers, defense up on the rise, Ezekiel Elliott, it's going to be pressure on him to maintain that success they had last year and build upon it. So Dak Prescott definitely number one going into the fire this year.
Nice, very nice. Well, that gives me a nice, easy segue and transition into my mind because I actually have him at 5. So you touched on everything. Yep, I got him at number 5 just because it's not so much that it's his job to lose,
right.
But Cam and things like that. But like you said, it's just the level of play that he had last year. Everybody, I mean, he's the Cowboys quarterback. He's always going to get talked about. So people are saying, is he a top 10 quarterback? I need to see a little bit more. Are they going to go 13-3 again? I mean, he had, he went 23-4 touchdown to interception ratio, best rookie quarterback season of all time. And then a little known stat, him and Tom Brady in 2010 are the only quarterbacks in NFL history to attempt at least 300 passes and throw less than 5 touchdowns. So,
oh, wow.
He might have the turnovers go up a little bit, but is he going to be able to really carry the offense and not have he didn't really take over the full playbook until maybe halfway. So I got him at 5. 4, I have his division rival that seemingly Washington doesn't want to re-sign for some reason, and that would be so his offensive coordinator goes to I get him confused. Is that the Rams that he went to? Yeah. McVay went to the Rams, and then who was it that went to the Niners? I get them mixed up. McVay to the – help me out here. No. The Niners. Shanahan was with the Falcons.
Yeah, Shanahan went to the Niners.
Yep. So McVay's with the Rams now. They don't sign Cousins long-term. I mean, he passed for essentially 5,000 yards last year. They missed the playoffs, but I mean – 67% completion percentage, 2 solid years, 5,000 yards passing, and they refuse to sign him long-term. So that's really questionable. A lot of people think he might go to either San Francisco with Shanahan, who he played with originally, or if Jared Goff doesn't work out. So
it's crazy. They didn't even keep either one of their 1,000-yard receivers for him either. So they lost.
I do like what they brought in Terrell Pryor. I think he's going to be really good with them. Really good.
Yeah, great signing.
So number 3, I got Sam Bradford from Minnesota. Last year, played lights out. Probably the best season of his career. Actually, I don't even think that's probably. I'd say just statistically. I mean, led the league in completion percentage. Completed 71% of his passes. Nearly 4,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's kind of one of those things. He's a former number 1 overall pick, but people are always kind of make jokes about Sam Bradford. He can't stay healthy. But he played really well last year. The Vikings just couldn't stay healthy along the offensive line. So if he can keep that performance they did last year, they have a phenomenal defense in Minnesota. He's got Stephon Diggs on one end. They just drafted Treadwell last year out of – I want to say it was Ole Miss. So he's got some weapons. He's got Kyle Rudolph. They can win in Minnesota. And if he plays, I mean, he could play kind of like a Joe Flacco role, and that team could legitimately be a Super Bowl contender if they can stay healthy.
Yep. Not to mention they got Latavius Murray from Oakland this year too.
Good call. That's a huge pickup. Losing AP, so you.
Oh, and Dalvin Cook as well.
Yep. Nice. So they got a nice little rotation there running balls as well.
Nice
so number 2, my favorite whipping boy, Alex Smith from Kansas City.
Oh man,
he's so polarizing. You have people that say, with the scheme that they run in Kansas City, they run a West Coast offense. He's mobile. He can get outside the pocket. You don't take a lot of shots down the field. You get your slants. You dump off to the running backs. You hit your tight ends. I mean, I think it was 2 years ago where the Chiefs didn't have a wide receiver catch a touchdown pass all year. So some of that's the receivers, but some of that's the quarterback. So he goes 12-4, but again, just does not play well in the playoffs. Against the Steelers, the first playoff game, completed 58% of his passes, 172 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but just 5 yards per attempt. So the book's out on him when it comes to the playoffs, and you have to force him to throw the ball downfield and push it downfield when you're sitting in, playing physical and you're waiting on a short pass. Is he able to make the throws down the field? And I don't know. Combine that with the fact they just drafted Pat Mahomes out of Texas A&M with the 12th pick, I want to say. They traded up probably 50 picks. Yep. This is his last year. If he does not put it together, he's out. Mahomes is in. So I'm curious to see what he does.
Good one.
All right, number 1 with the most to prove at the quarterback position, Jared Goff with the Rams. Now,
nice.
We all know he didn't exactly have a ton of receiver help. His line was okay. He had Todd Gurley back there, but he just had one of the worst rookie seasons. I mean, for a number 1 overall pick, he didn't even start until week 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was reading something the other day. It says that he has the worst DVOA, not under pressure. So DVOA, I want to say it's Football Outsiders. It's an advanced metric that essentially comes up with every play. If it's a 3rd and 3 and you can complete a pass or first down, that's weighted higher than a 1st and 10 and you dump it off for 3 yards. Even though they're both 3 yards, it's an advanced metric. So he had the worst DVOA of any quarterback not under pressure since 2010. So, I mean, that's the last, 6 years, and we're talking about the number 1 overall pick out of Cal, who didn't start for half the season, and then when he does start, just could not get anything going. So, I don't know. He's got the quarterback coach there with McVay, as we talked about with Cousins, but for number 1 pick, you better start playing a lot better than that. Otherwise, you might, be replaced here in the next couple of years. So,
yeah, especially with that defense playing well. He has Todd Gurley in the backfield. You gotta perform. Got to.
Yep, that defense, man, that defensive line is nasty. So
it is. Arguably might be the best. Arguably.
That's a good one. We'll have to do that next time. We'll go over top D lines and kind of go from there. But let us know, what do you think? Whose 5 you agree with? If you don't, obviously, like I said, comment, let us know, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, Mike, definitely appreciate it. We'll have to do this again. And until next time, guys.